resignations?
One contract.
Oh, yeah, just a contract, yeah. I was gonna say I had the resignations open, so we don't need the resignations, cause there were none, and then I'll look for a motion to approve the contract as amended.
So moved.
Second,
I'll say.
we got a motion by Teresa and a second by Spencer for this hire. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, one more thing on the agenda is the Board of Education review and prioritization of school district capital improvement priorities illustrated in the 10-year capital improvement plan.
Well, thank you all for the journey you've been on for quite a few years, and now for this opportunity to begin those conversations, and crucial conversations about the direction facilities are moving forward, so.
Okay, so we just had talked quite a bit in, facilities again. So a couple things like Dr. Hanson, mentioned, obviously we all know we have a lot of, information that we've been gathering for quite a few years. We all did the school, tours earlier this year, so we had that information in our brains and things. I guess one major thing to keep in mind as we start to talk about things going forward is we have the operational referendum that will run out April 27th. So those are kind of the main things I just wanted to bring up right away. Heidi or Spencer, you got anything you want to start with?
Go ahead, Spencer.
All I wanted to bring up that, we've been setting on these things and we have to start moving. So we took some time to look at it and we can see these numbers that are pretty huge. We're not gonna be able to knock them all off the list. So we spent some time, looking through some particular, opportunities or options that we might, take to meet some of the needs. That's what we're gonna bring, have some discussion here.
I guess, what was brought up in facilities, when we're kind of like looking at this 10-year capital improvement plan, is kind of where do the seven of us actually see the district in this 10-year period? How many buildings do we see? Do we see consolidation in the future? Do we focus solely on what we have in front of us right now? Where do we prioritize? In May, it was kind of clear, after we all toured the schools, the elementary schools of Lemonwire, Miller, and Tams, we all kind of sat here and on the whiteboard, kind of mapped it out, and I don't wanna say came to a complete consensus, but felt like the direction that we would see ourselves moving in is possibly an elementary school in the future. So if that is something that would be on the table, where do we see the prioritization on this list in front of us right now? Where do we go? Where do we direct Joe on where we should make our investment? And then how do we have the money to make that investment?
You gonna dig deeper?
Also, Joe, thank you for being here tonight, Joe. I know you put a lot of work into just being here and supporting whatever, but just wanted to recognize that you're always here and ready to go.
I don't, just to start with, I don't see us closing the outlying schools, Camp Douglas, Oakdale, Wyville, or Warrens. I think the parents have made it quite clear that they want to keep those open, or the community, not just the parents, but the community wants those schools. So, for the immediate, I think in 10 years, I think those schools will still be standing. I think the things that need to be looked at are the 3 elementaries here in town, which are LaGrange, Lemonwire, and and Miller. And figure out how to just add on to it because of the numbers or whatever that we have, the crowding, figure out how to add on to a LaGrange with that property and move ball courts and tennis courts and baseball fields to some other piece of property that we may have already, would be the most economical way of doing it. We just unfortunately have to go out for a referendum to add on to that building and that space for TAMs and whatever other classrooms we need. Even though it's gonna be in 2 different elevations, but that's possible. That was my thought, that back when we were at the whiteboard, and it's still my thought today. Probably not a favorable one, but. So, I personally would direct Joe to fix the outlining schools as much as we can, the critical, very, very, very critical stuff, and then work back from that. Because you have a very small budget of how much money we have right now.
Teresa, so, just so I understand where you're going there, you would consider putting Lemonwire and Miller into LaGrange?
No.
Okay, then I didn't understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I probably didn't finish the whole sentence.
Oh, okay.
To start out with, you build on to LaGrange, excuse me. Part of me, yes, put them both there, but that's going to be way too many students and too hard to handle and not enough room.
Mhm.
But you're gonna end up having to knock down, you're gonna have to do 2 things. 1, build on to LaGrange, and then 2, knock down one of those other 2 buildings and rebuild it. And where would be the best, which one would be the best one to do?
Rebuild on the existing site?
Yes.
Rebuilding on the existing site, one thing would be relocating the kids in the temporary, the Cubs for several years, I don't know how long it would take, 2 years, 3 years.
That's why you would build onto the LaGrange, put the kids over there first, put 1 school over there, and then, knock down that school, and then rebuild and build enough for 2 schools in 1 spot. That would be the one way of doing it.
I think you gotta look at Lemonwire, and the problems we have there with water, is that really a feasible thing?
I don't think it is a
And
feasible
then when
spot.
you look at,
No.
if you look at the Miller property, it's here and here,
It's elevated, yeah, 2 different elevations.
I should build a school on the lower and parking on the upper or something, I don't know.
You could do that.
There's just pieces of property, there would be some struggles or some challenges to, so.
You can regrade them.
But if we're going to pick something right now, I'd be picking Miller before I'd be picking Lemonwire, because you don't need to go back into the water issues and it's not gonna get any better there,
No.
ever, so. I guess I shouldn't say ever, maybe they could make the water flow different.
I'm
just wondering if you're rebuilding, if you're demolishing, which is gonna cost money, and then you're rebuilding an entirely new building, what is the big advantage of doing that versus doing it, like, say, in a sign-off field place or something else?
I would not have a problem with that.
Your neighbors would.
Is, putting it, where did you say?
The neighbors would, that are surround that property.
Oh, I see.
Sign off property?
Yes, they would not be happy, because of the traffic, it's bad enough as it is. Traffic,
But we own that
The
property, so
back
that would be,
yeah.
I mean, that minimizes the
I
cost.
think most of the people built there realizing that there's a good chance.
There's a
that
good
was-
chance.
There was a school district going that
School
was
there.
gonna be,
Right, that was the initial intent.
right,
The
right.
intent was, when we purchased that, to, yeah.
To have an elementary school there.
So this is a random question, but I just have been thinking about this. So I was just looking at, I've been doing a lot of work at Herman in Sparta, and I know it's a newer school. How did they, does anyone know the story behind that? Cause they have 3 elementary schools, right? Herman, South Side is the early learning center, and then the Montessori school. Montessori school is huge, I've been there before.
That was the old elementary.
Was that the old elementary?
Yeah.
So then how
It was
did they have a referendum to
Yeah.
build the Herman?
Yeah.
2008.
They did have
That's
one,
what I was
and they were,
trying
and it was a pool, there were, where that elementary is for the Montessori, that Montessori was supposed to be a community pool for both cities, indoor pool system, but they went and did what, they just remodeled it and, did that Montessori, which, that was their choice, that was their public money. But they referendum a ton of money, and there was a problem with the one, the Herman one, the newest, biggest complex. There's issues with, they almost did not get to use the building because of the traffic issues that were not addressed for that area. And that is exactly what I'm saying for the Steinhoff field, is there's a traffic issue and a road issue right there. Of traffic patterns and things, and the backups and, stuff, so that
It
is
can all
one
be
thing that.
addressed.
I guess
that would have to
I had
be
to something in the
addressed.
city or something.
The way the roads are today, they would, I mean, they have to be wider, you know, they have to be, you know, widened and stuff to get buses and.
Is that a township road, is that a county
No,
road?
it's a county.
County road?
Cause they only have the 3 elementary schools, then they have a STEM academy,
Yes.
the middle school, Sparta Montessori is a middle school too. Then they have
Right.
Sells Charter, Sparta High School, and then a virtual learning academy.
The Meadowview and the STEM stuff, yeah, is one building,
Is it?
and that was a referendum prior to Herman.
Right.
So in the last 25 years-ish, Sparta's passed 3 major referendums. That's how they.
Including last year too.
And they're doing one in high school.
Yeah, they're doing it.
So,
How,
They did that
how, like, I
because-
guess, like, what's, why?
That their
No.
taxes are double what ours are, almost.
Is it?
No, they're not.
$7.
They're 7
Yeah.
something. I just
Yeah.
talked with.
Right, because they are the non-capital.
I just looked at what, a house at 200,000 or 300,000, each 100,000 is $700 more, so if you have a $400,000 house.
I'm not
it's
sure
going down.
what their
By
tax rate is,
24.
but our mill rates are,
Said mill rates are, right?
yeah, theirs is about $1.21.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up for sure.
But again, they've been sitting on reoccurring
Correct,
debt
correct.
since.
Right.
Say they invested
Yeah,
years
they
ago.
have
Exactly.
continued to, yeah, and they
Well,
lucked out in 2020 of being able to buy funds.
Expansion, right, cause you don't carry that.
Okay.
But that's for a different at some point.
Well, right, but I guess I'm just trying to figure out how do they have funding? And then one community over, we're struggling to just make improvements.
They're literally compiling debt on debt.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's where I'm trying to
That's
figure
what
out
they're
how come they have all these
Right.
programs
Paying it off,
and
yes,
things
and then going right on to the same capital
They're
debt.
paying something,
Yes.
they pay something off, when they got a new one, there wasn't an increase in the.
Right.
Okay, well, that answers that
It's
question.
like your home equity loan.
Yeah.
It, you know, you borrow against it and then you pay it off, and you borrow against it and you pay it off, that's what they're doing.
Let's get back on probably.
So,
Yep, yep.
us.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm just trying to figure out how they did that, because I don't think having 7 elementary elementary schools is.
It's not feasible, we can't
Is-
sustain that.
It's not gonna be
So why,
sustainable.
so are we gonna make improvements on the elementary schools if we're gonna end up, like, that's where I'm trying to get at with this part, I think they have 3 elementary schools, a nice big elementary school, and then the other ones, but we have 7.
Right,
Part of
that's
the-
why I
The
said.
reason why we have the 7 though is because of how big
Right.
our district is, not students.
Right, and I
But
understand
geographically.
like the Warrens, and then you have Oakdale, like, I understand those, but we have 3 right in town, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
So,
and you have a beautiful piece of property in LaGrange to actually build up that you can do.
so I guess that's where I'm at, is I don't,
But I don't know if we're worried about the roads over there, what's gonna make the road at LaGrange, it's not any different. Where, going in the backside or whatever, behind that school, I mean, those roads are gonna have to be fixed and stuff too.
There's a road already planned
And
to
may I
have
just
its
offer,
own
we're getting into
access.
so the weeds right now, these are we haven't even decided that we need something yet, and we're talking about where we might build something,
Yeah.
that we don't.
I
Okay,
think-
talk
so-
about
so-
why,
so- so- so-
But-
So, right, so reining back in, we
So
talked
that's
about, we
what I-
talked elementary some. Go
right,
ahead.
but that's what I'm trying to say, is like, why don't we focus on like the middle school and high school if we're planning on keeping those? I
So
mean, we
that-
have
that's-
a long
right.
term,
And that's
like,
what I was just gonna get into, so we know we have,
Right.
we have issues with several of the
Yes.
elementaries. What other issues are way up here for us right now?
So look at the high school then,
Okay,
because that one's gonna stay.
so what we've talked about with the high school is obviously the, what do you wanna, I'm gonna use this, the tech ed, the CCD, and the band are the big ones.
The band and the CTE, okay.
Right.
So what are you proposing?
I'm not proposing anything, I'm just saying, that's a discussion that
What
is
are you wanting
way
to
up
do?
there.
can I ask Joe a question?
Yeah.
So Joe, thinking about like what has to be done now. I know that's like a very loaded question, but work with me here, cause I'm not really sure what I'm asking. Like,
Wait, do you have a location, or are you saying in general?
in general, like, this has to be done now, or it's gonna like be detrimental to the safety of our kids.
The Miller sanitary sewer would be my number one.
Miller Sanitary
But I
Sewer.
would like to, sub A on that is, my answer changes depending on how long it's gonna be there. So, and I know I was trying to get back to where you just were,
It's okay.
but just bear with me, is if I knew that building was gonna be there for 3 years, I would say, we'll Band-Aid everything and that's accessible, we're not cutting concrete and repouring classrooms, right?
Right.
So that $750,000 price tag that I had Berkman put together last year or whatever that was, that changes from 750 to, I don't know, 100, 200, I don't know the dollar amount. Point being is, as long as there's a sunset in mind, then my answer changes. So my first answer is the Miller sewer, as well as Lemon Wire sewer would be near the top of that list. Lemon Wire sewer does not have the problems that Miller has had, therefore Miller is number one.
So let's just hypothetically, just gonna throw this out there. So let's say hypothetically, in 5 years, we're going to just have a new elementary school. Obviously, that's dreaming, but if we did, what would you say? Like, do we need to do it
Would-
now?
Do what now?
The
Sewer?
sewer system?
I would say the main, that everything accessible, all the cast iron that is accessible without removing concrete could and should be done. It could be done as an as-needed basis. I would focus on different sections over the summer to build that into, so we're not disrupting any type of educational purposes. But that would be my first guess. And then I would say, everything else HVAC wise, I would lower on my priority list, just with the idea in mind that I don't wanna spend good after bad. Like if we're not gonna have this, we can drop a new air conditioner for this classroom, we don't have to look at the whole school. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And that's what Joe's been asking us in facilities for a couple of years. You know, we did this a couple of years ago, and we said, let's see what happens. We've now seen what happened, you know, and so now, and that's what Joe said, he said, I need some direction here, you know, like, are we spending on this building, are we spending on this building, are we spending on this building? And that's kind of where we're at tonight, is we need to start to focus in a little bit on what that is.
I don't think that it's crazy idea that within the next 5 years, we could pass a referendum if we address the issues that the taxpayers keep bringing up, right?
I get that.
So like, we're not gonna get a referendum passed if the taxpayers are not trusting us. So as we work on building that rapport and work on the things that we should be working on, I think we could get a referendum passed. So if we do that, and we do it at a lower scale than what we originally had planned, then are we thinking that we would do an elementary school, shut down the in-town elementary schools, then that would give Joe a good idea
Exactly.
of,
Exactly.
like, okay, so let's do the sewer, we can do, you know,
Keep it safe for,
for now
For 10 to 5
until
years.
we can get that referendum.
If I'm trying to remember when we had conversations about, even before we started picking the new high school for a referendum, it seems like a 90-some million is what I remember them talking about for an elementary school, because it would have to be.
half that.
Half that.
Half that, was it? Okay.
The 90 was a different.
Was that something
That
else?
was like, that was involving other
Okay,
things,
all right,
kinda like
so-
our one.
So like a 45, something like
Yeah,
that, for
at
a new school.
That is a
Elementary.
really high price tag for an elementary school, 45 million. It should only be about
Herman was
25.
34 million. Herman was 34 million.
Yeah,
That was
exactly.
20 years ago.
That was
Several years ago.
What the heck is doing up here?
We have good schools. when we
That's
go
like
there.
really
That's what things are nowadays.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard to build up.
So, I mean, that still doesn't address our band issue of the fact that kids are standing up to play their instruments. But I mean, like, we have to keep kids safe right now, I think is
Right.
like our main goal. Sorry,
So-
Alex, I want to just build you this beautiful band room, if I had millions of dollars, I would, but
Me too.
Okay, so you say in this, somewhere in here it says, about music expansion, 26, 27, $1 million. What do you propose, I don't know who to ask, what is being proposed in that $1 million for a music expansion?
It's a placeholder.
As I say, it's just simply something to put in there.
There's-
Go ahead.
Unless someone can tell me, or anyone, whether it's welding, woods, band, pick your subject of what it's gonna be and how many people are going to be in, it's impossible to know what that's gonna take. So approximately using $350 to $400 per square foot, I mean, you could deduce from there what you're gonna do. The issue is you only have a limited section where the band room is currently placed to do any type of addition. So you're either limited to inside the walls now, or reconstructing and taking something away.
Like a parking lot?
Sure. But then you have issues with adding on to the building potentially. I'm not saying that would be triggered, but if you add on so much square footage, you trigger and you lose the grandfather clause for all the things that we don't check the box of. Mainly sprinklers and ADA compliance.
Yeah, I understood.
So, I mean, that $1 million is simply a placeholder. I mean, and that number came not directly, but indirectly from the welding and woods numbers, where we just, basically $1 million per CTE area. And a lot of that derived from the science project that was done 2 years ago, 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
That was 3 rooms, but it doesn't have necessarily some of the power requirements and or special lockers or other things that come with band. It's a placeholder based on past projects. So if we wanted to drill down on that, we can get better numbers, but we have to know some things.
What you're doing.
Right.
Could you take where the greenhouse is today, and build a brick building rather than glass, and make some tech area there? I'm just throwing this out there, and then maybe being able to take some of the tech area that's in the school right now to expand the band going further down the hall. You know, would that give us the space that maybe we could
Building new is gonna, no matter what, require a facilities referendum for us to build new.
Anything?
we've gotta try to figure this out. I mean,
Right.
I mean, we're not gonna do it for nothing. I mean, it's gonna get crazy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not gonna be $177 million, but we have to start somewhere to try to get, they're cramped. We got
They're correct.
people standing on top of each other, probably, I don't know, I haven't been there, but
Can
gotta be
I,
getting pretty close.
but is that more of a prioritization than fixing the sewage or the HVAC at LaGrange? The HVAC.
Well, I think we're gonna have to do a few projects.
Right.
I don't know that we're just gonna do one. I mean,
No,
we're
you
gonna
have to have several going on at the
Yeah,
same
we're
time.
not, this is,
So taxation wise, if you're looking at it from the community, right, like, what are you proposing? Are you proposing that we throw out a facilities referendum at this year and then ask the community for an operational referendum and then re-ask them for a facilities?
I don't have the answers, but I'm just trying to figure out like some things maybe that we could look at to see,
Sorry.
to see what it would cost to do, or,
What's that?
I just was
No.
asking why.
Yeah.
I have no idea, but I mean, we've gotta start somewhere, and
Right.
I guess
I don't think.
the other thing I would say is, eventually, we gotta start believing in the educational system in Tomah. And if we don't wanna do that, then we're gonna keep the buildings we have, or we're just gonna keep putting Band-Aids on them and things like that. But, eventually, we gotta bite the bullet here and say, yes, we are gonna have to spend some money.
Right. So
But,
this was a radical idea that I threw out in facilities, and this is what other communities have done in the state of Wisconsin. You can take an operational referendum and say historically here in Tomah, we've been asking this last year 2.5, reoccurring for 4 years. So instead of asking for 2.5, you exponentially increase that amount. So you're asking for maybe 6 million one year. The next year you're asking for 7 million. The next year you're asking for 8, or even starting out at 5 million, et cetera, on a 4-year basis. And then we're getting a pool of money, right? To where we can start knocking off some of these projects, right?
right, yeah, I mean,
Which would also support Fund 10, which are what you're talking about, believing in the education system, pouring that money back into teachers, et cetera. So, Michelle, if you could pull up how Eau Claire worded theirs, or Madison, either one of those. Now, what they ask for is, of course, a gigantic number that I wouldn't ever place on Tomah or anything, but anywhere of a ball range of even anywhere between 25 to 40 million dollars of operational ask comparatively to hitting a facilities referendum right away.
So this is just Eau Claire, and these numbers are Eau Claire's, these are not Tomah's. So they asked for $72 million spread over 4 years. And then so every year, they seek the revenue limit by 18 million. So where we asked last time $10 million, that was spread over 4 years, that was the 2.5 for each year. And how they word that is that it's worded for operational and maintenance of educational programming and distribution.
So we potentially could ask for, let's say hypothetically, like say a 30 million or whatever, so you'd have like 7.5, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5 for each of the 4 years. The 2.5 could somewhat be earmarked still for the continuing operational part of it, which would leave 5 each year to start to tick off some of these things, like renovating the tech rooms and renovating, something, figuring out something for band and whatever else fixing maybe the main sewer lines, like Joel's suggesting, the 2 elementaries, until we would decide to do something from an elementary standpoint. Does that make sense?
So could you take that, do extra money, that extra 5 million, and do you stick it in Fund 46 at the end of the year? Cash it all out, and then every year you stick it in Fund 46, and then you have that pot of money and go do
We
something?
couldn't build a building with that because that would be a capital then. But you could use that hypothetical $5 million that year and you'd have a plan for what you're using that 5 million on. This HVAC here at LaGrange and this area at the high school or this area at the elementary. Whatever.
So we
it
could
may be.
feasibly fix the boiler that's $5 million in the high school, that needs to be gone away, so, Joe doesn't have to spend his Christmas, every Christmas babysitting a boiler.
And then at the end of the year, like you do every year, if we have a positive balance, then you decide to put that into Fund 46, because then it's there for your next maintenance thing that's on your list to get done.
And that's legal.
I mean, because you're telling your taxpayers, this is for operational, which would be paying our teachers and our staff, and maintenance of the district to support educational programming. Because all of these upgrades are to support the educational program of our district, of our students.
The key thing is that you're fixing existing buildings, you're not building a new
Not-
standalone building.
And we can address the buildings that we wanna keep.
Right.
Right.
Not all.
Correct, that's where you would
Yeah.
start with, yes. And then we would have to, at some point, in the next couple of years, decide what we were going to do about elementaries, I guess.
And when would you want to do a referendum?
That would be up to the board.
So April, we've got a state Supreme Court election, which will be the
April
highest amount.
26, you want to do the years too, so April
Yeah, so
26.
April
This coming
26,
April,
I
yeah.
apologize. Largest state, will be a state Supreme Court race in the state of Wisconsin. It'll most likely be the most dollar amount spent previously, meaning last year's race, or this year's race,
Right.
April of 2025. Then you have the governor's, race and election, that would be in August of 26. And then we have the midterm election in November of 26. And again, Michelle said our operational, where we would normally go to the community and ask them, would have been in April 2027. So we would literally just be asking right before we would normally do.
Potentially, you could ask in November.
Right.
That
That's
when it
it.
runs out in April, or whatever,
Yes.
basically, that.
It runs out at the end of that
Tax.
school year.
November midterms, we would, again, highest percentage of voters that would come out to vote, all that kind of stuff.
That'd be November of 26.
November of 26.
Basically 1 year from now.
So,
Yes.
But also give the board time then to, again, if we were gonna go to facilities, right? Have a year of hammering out hardcore, meeting with people, doing the whole community outreach, getting everybody on board, all that kind of stuff, before going to the community in either April of 28, or November of 28. For facilities, for a, most likely, again, at least our consensus right now would be a consolidated elementary school. With camps, et cetera.
Beautiful, Heidi.
That sounds something that the voters, I think, might go along with, because now the price tag's gonna be less.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see the improvements being made, right, on the existing buildings, which is what the community is asking for. As well as improvements to our educational programs, because we will be funding Fund 10. As well as, again, we don't have to put the money into Fund 46, it's advantageous to, but we could also roll money over into Fund 10 if we wanted to hire more support staff, mental health professionals, et cetera, you know? It gives the district a little more leeway to actually work with money, instead of going, we only have 2.5, you know? And it actually, we can knock these projects off with operational dollars, instead of going, hey, let's ask the community for another 177 million and try to do everything all at once, right? So we're showing that we are listening to the community 100% on it, but we're also asking for an investment from this community to make this happen. The CTE areas especially,
Yeah.
I mean, this you have so many businesses locally that have chipped in and really went into that. Because we could do the remodel on the CTE, but that's not gonna cost the furnishings and everything else that's in there. But if this city wants a workforce, that they wanna be able to handpick, take off, all that kind of stuff, right? We have the most kids that are going to WWTC, all that kind of thing. We have the workforce here. It's advantageous for them to want to make that investment. And I don't think we would have that much pushback from them to be able to do so. I think all of us are very good talkers.
This weekend, I just met some, different school board members that, over in Stevens Point, Wausau area, that the corporations in there, funded some of their CTE, by giving them new, like, just, I think it was welding, the welding stations. Even though they were used welding stations, they were an upgrade from the ones that they had in the building. And just kind of partnering with them and making those, partnerships, strong so that they can support, like, Heidi's, Ms. Ann said, to get their personnel, their workforce. And so, because that's ultimately what we're doing in school, is making productive citizens so they can go out into the field and work rather than sit at home and watch TV all day. So, that is our goal. And so we do need the community to partner with us. So, if we can get them to do that, then we can furnish those buildings that we built.
I think that's one mistake maybe that we made this last time, was we didn't get enough businesses involved. I mean, so many businesses that I know would be more than willing to help support making the school district better. We just have to ask.
Right.
Well, this is gonna actually narrow it down, this idea would be a lot more
I think
focalized,
it's
you know,
Yeah.
where you could
Right.
take year
It makes more
one,
sense.
you could take year one, and like Joe had talked in our meeting, you know, you could choose what you value as priority number one, and say, okay, I'm just gonna throw this out there, let's pretend it's well, or auto, let's go auto, whatever.
Okay.
So then, you potentially say, year one, we're gonna get all new, we're gonna redo the whole auto, who can we talk to, who can we do this, whatever. With the potential of that year two now is gonna be, let's say, woods and welding,
Right.
and then, or whatever, and again, this is all hypothetical,
Right.
but again, like you said, it would be more, can be more formalized, where we could like reach out to the people in that field
There'd be
for
more
assistance,
buy-in.
right?
Yeah.
More
And
buy-in.
again, this isn't new construction, this is existing,
Right.
what the community is asking for us to do. And it's doing it through an operational fund to do it, not a facilities capital referendum.
I think the community might be more willing to do that, because then it keeps their property taxes down lower. And that's a huge thing, they can't afford that huge jump.
Well, and I think too, the taxpayers wanna see that we're exhausting all other options. We're
Yeah.
not, first thing we're doing is going to them and saying, hey, we have all these issues, but you need to give us money.
Well, and Michelle brought up too, you can talk about like getting aided at the second year, third year, fourth year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We've talked about our district's very heavily aided, so for example, this year, our district received 63 cents on the dollar that we spent last year back on state aid. So the more our district spends this year, the more aid it comes back next year.
Okay.
So it'd be the same thing if we went into this operational idea, it'd be the same thing, like year one might not be as peachy keen, because that's the first time we're spending, but then, the second year, the third year, the fourth year, and after the fourth year runs out, you'll have gotten the aid on what you had spent year one, and then it'll just keep piggybacking off of that.
And again, putting it into operational, it gives the district the leeway to put it into the programs where we critically
Right.
need to put it into, as well as focusing again on that 10-year capital plan at the same time. It's literally, I hate saying it, it's kill the bird.
So then we
Yeah.
Can I ask Alex a question?
Stone.
Can I ask Alex a question?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
open.
Okay, all right. Talking about band and, you know, building on and so on, you're there, do you see, in your head, do you have any way that you could, within the confines of the building, expand your room? No.
Well, every time that I leave school, I walk out the door and I see grass on the other side of my wall, and I just wish that I didn't see grass there. Cause I do have, where those dumpsters are by the commons, where the bands park.
Yeah.
That, on the other side of that wall is the band room, so the band room, you know, I always envisioned it, even since I was a student there. The wall coming even to where the commons are, and that would give us, you know, a lot more room just in the immediate, to be able to function. I don't see there being a possibility internally
Okay.
to make anything work without giving up anything else in our wing.
Okay.
We already, I mean, Joe and I have talked many times about how I just don't have room. I don't have room for all the things that I need. I don't have enough room for all 140 kids in my room. It's a great problem, but it is still a problem, and, you know, I know they're having just the same issues at TMS. Their band room is,
That's smaller than yours.
yeah, it's probably half the size of mine.
Yes. It hasn't changed since I was there,
No.
that was a long time ago.
I have a question for you, I'm sorry, so, can you tell me where you're located? There's a hallway, and you're on the right, and what's to the left?
That's welding and agriculture.
Oh, okay, so you can't knock out
Yeah, it's all
a
the
hallway.
Yeah, no, that would be nice if we could, but.
And we do have to be cautious, like Joe was saying, I mean, we did look at the square footage of what you add on creates a domino effect of other stuff, you know,
Right.
rather than.
Do you know what that square footage is, Joe?
Of what?
Adding on.
If we added on, I don't know how much feet that would add on, probably 200 or 300 square feet.
Where it triggers?
Yeah,
I don't.
you don't know the trigger point?
Well, and-
I seem to recall, don't quote me, I think it's 50% of your total. I'm not 100% sure of that, I'm not an
You
architect.
mean the total building, or the total room?
Yes, it should be verified through an architect though, yeah.
Okay.
Or the city or state or anyone else.
So I don't mean to stop some of these conversations, but we do gotta make sure, I mean, we don't wanna get too far down too many of these lanes right now.
Right, it's.
You know, we really just
Hang
need
in
to,
there,
we just need to figure out the generalized idea, I guess, is, and I think we've kind of narrowed in on it.
I think we did.
Yeah.
I think that is what, Ms. Hanson said, is probably the best logically to do. Cause then it gives us more leverage down the road, for facilities.
A timeline?
I'm saying
like-
November
like-
26th. That's
Year
what
from
I'm
now.
saying.
Okay,
It's election year from now.
November
okay,
26th.
so then to do the referendum. So then,
Current operational.
what do we need to do before then?
Figure out what that number
Community
is.
outreach and do we, what
Yeah,
that number is.
Go to the
And-
businesses?
And then tell
Right,
them what
right.
we are doing.
I think that's what we do, we
narrow
make
it
a
all
plan
down.
from here.
So, one thing I was just thinking, so Warren's, Tim just sent an email, the VP down there, they are donating, I don't even know how many
10
cents
cents a
per,
gallon.
10 cents a
10
gallon
cents on
Yeah.
Fridays.
to Warren's if you get gas on Fridays. Which, if we had a lot of
Things like that.
businesses that did that, I mean, that would add up pretty quick, and businesses, I think, are willing, I mean, like, what made them want to do that, right? Like,
So, okay.
I don't know where exactly. it's going,
I
but-
agree with you, Katie, absolutely. But I'm trying to think of where that fits into our operational potential referendum. I mean, I know you're saying down the road, it'll help us get cool stuff inside, cool stuff like that, but.
Because I think if we start building those relationships
Yeah, okay,
as
okay,
we're
okay,
doing
I
the
get it, I get it,
referendum,
I get it,
right?
alright, yeah.
Because I don't think, we can talk all we want about this referendum in November, and this is what we're gonna do, and this is what we're gonna do, but I think if we don't fix the taxpayers' concerns, it's gonna get shot down just like the last one did.
We also
But
need
this
the.
would fix the taxpayers' concerns. This is exactly,
Right, but then they would
Whatever.
also see that we're trying to, again, exhaust the other resources
Right.
too.
Right.
Like,
So
we're
I-
still
I
being
agree with you.
responsible.
Yes.
I'm not saying instead of, I'm
No,
saying in
this-
conjunction with.
This would be legwork of, I'm not
Yes.
gonna lie, again, 7 of us are really good talkers, and we really would have to go out into the community and sell this.
But you'd
But-
have to be very, very specific
Right.
in what this money is going to
Which
be
is
used for.
why it would be worded the way that Eau Claire's.
But the public is going to want to know, okay, if we pass this general, that general wording, that's still not enough for me to be convinced that,
Teresa, you
that
can't
that
have,
stuff
you
is-
can't have a paragraph like y'all did with 177 million, you can't, like.
you can have a paragraph that states, we're gonna fix
Okay,
HVAC or
we're getting way, okay, we're getting
da-da-da-da-da-da.
way, we're getting way,
Yeah,
way
I
ahead of ourselves here.
apologize.
We're getting so far ahead of ourselves here.
Take my,
Okay.
take my comment out there.
Yeah, I mean, we have to just, I mean, I think we have the general idea. So I don't know, so the next step would basically be what, to come up with, start to come up with
Items.
a number,
Item analysis, number,
or yeah, so, okay.
move toward that. That brings you to your targets.
And where do we envision this happening? We start having this on regular meetings?
We mean where-
I'm sorry, like, when do we discuss, like, things like that? So will it start in facilities, will
You
it?
give us a direction and you say, I wanna know what the tax impact would be for our district for X amount of dollars on a 4-year or 5-year levy, and then we talk to the people that are experts in that area.
Are you
Is
asking?
that what you're asking?
What?
Is that what you're asking?
Yes, yes. Well, I'm trying to think, yeah, I mean,
Yes, that's what you're saying.
yeah. What do you say?
When would you be able to get us that type of number?
Well, I guess that's what I'm getting at. That's what I was asking, when's this gonna happen? Are we trying to do it tonight? Are we trying to do it at a regular meeting? Are we trying to?
I think you just need to have one special meeting after another in order to hammer each one of these things out.
I don't know if we could maybe make a motion to do anything tonight, or we would potentially,
Well, we don't really have it written as a motion.
that's what I mean, so we would have to like come to a regular meeting and say, an agenda item would have to be set a potential
Yeah, and that's where I
amount.
think you could still leverage your existing board structure, I don't believe in these specials, unless the board feels. What I hear and we embraced about 5 months ago was the 7 of you in creation, so that's perfect this evening, and then you tell us if you need, we'll get it done, but leverage those other meetings that you have, to get those action items and further discussion.
And I think your regular board meeting though that are more attended, maybe if you're looking for transparency,
Academy meetings, we don't usually get too many people here.
They are being recorded more.
So would we come to the regular meeting in 2 weeks, no, a week?
Next week.
Next week or,
I can't
or,
guarantee
or
you
do
anything for
December?
November, but December.
So we come to the regular meeting in December and say, somebody would make a motion, X, like, tell us what X amount of dollars.
Well, I don't foresee that we need any motions next December. We're fact finding. This is potentially what things would cost. I mean, you wouldn't really need a motion to do this until 3 months before you're going to operational.
Just fact finding, right? I mean,
This is
trying
fact
to-
finding.
When you say these things would cost, you're saying like a specific list of like whatever, like we would come up with a list of.
What would $5 million extra this year cost in the tax?
Oh, that, you
Right now.
okay, you're talking about the financial, I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were suggesting what we were spending it on, but I see what you're saying now.
Kind of working backwards. kind
Yes,
of like
yes,
what we
exactly,
talked
yeah,
about
I get it now,
business
okay, I'm
rates.
sorry.
Yeah, of how much you're gonna ask
Yeah.
and.
And I think, to go with Teresa's point, I think we do have to have a general idea of the order that we're going to try to do things, with the understanding that something could pop out at any time that is on this list.
Right.
that needs to be done.
I think in those meetings leading up to it, you do, I just don't think the paragraph has to be
No.
this long.
No,
But I think your
it's not
meetings
that
leading
long.
up to it, you know, would be absolutely that, you know, I mean, this is, we're gonna fix this, we're gonna fix this, we're gonna fix this. So, December
Yeah,
meeting,
the public has to know.
Very good meeting tonight.
And they will.
awesome.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
No. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, she's doing the tax impact side of it of X amount of dollars. So is there something that you want me to try to get? Like, everything on this list was built, for the most part, off of a prior project. So the gym floor at Warren's, for instance, was done because we did a gym floor at Oakdale and Glenmire. So, to your point of the $1 million for the band room, again, I said placeholder because of the science room. So, I mean, I can try, I don't know if I can have it in a month, but if you want me to focus, and this helps me out as far as next summer goes also, even though the summer's a little bit more shortened now, which is great, by the way, but, then I don't know if that helps the numbers standpoint, but it may help with summer projects going into next year also, where we could maybe focus Miller, main sewer line type of thing. Is there anything else on the list that needs a better number, more clarification, higher on the list? It's kind of an open-ended question, I'm just trying to help myself.
I was just say, we talked about it a little bit in facilities. In Miller, if it's gonna be on the temporary mode, then we don't want to dig up the concrete and do all those things, so that's one. I'd like to see us look at, LaGrange, we're talking about HVAC and what, on short order could we do versus the 3 million, right, for an HVAC? And the other one was the, TAMs. Because we were talking about,
Band-aiding that for the next couple of years.
yes, because it could be a temporary site and don't over-invest in it, but at least, address some of those things. That's just me, those are the three that.
Could you also get some information about potentially adding on to high school for band? At least the information as to what we would be limited to square footage wise, to see if it would be feasible.
I mean, I can try.
Try.
I think the issue, I'm not a lawyer, but I think the issue comes from, can we use operational
I
funds
think
for
that
that?
would have to.
That would be a,
Yes.
oh, okay.
But depending on the cost.
I can do
There
some
were so
research.
many, and none of us were here at this time, there were so many issues with building the high school because of the water table and everything.
The issue with the high school, and I've told people this at football games when they've asked, you can do additions to the high school, the issue becomes, so even when Gridiron did the press box, so they de-watered that area, Gerke's did, for pushing 2 weeks, I think, in order to get, just get the footers in for that water. The commons, when they put the commons on, it's on helical piers. I'm not an expert in it.
Explain what that means.
I will try. So a helical pier is basically a giant screw that you screw into the ground until it hits a certain tension point that makes it stable. The issue, so old pictures of Tomah, where the high school was the lake. At Gary Grovestein's house was all marsh. When they dug the lake, all that fill came where the high school is. So the answer is, yes, you can build there. The problem is it becomes very expensive because helical piers are expensive to put in. So to the band question and to your question, yeah, it's doable. However, it's the what's it worth type of thing.
Yeah.
But that's your decision to make at that point. I can do some research into what a potential per pier like cost. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can try to get some
ballpark.
general information, a little
Yeah,
more
that'd
than
be
I have, but.
Yeah, just that grassy area.
Yeah.
Or
Is
if
that
there's
in?
somewhere in the school that you can add on to, that you
No,
could
that
change
whole
the
area is
band
that
room, or is the entire, or instruction room?
I'd like
Knock
to
out
know
a wall.
If you went into Rick's, like, first thought of the greenhouse or another area becoming a CTE center, I don't know that your foundation issues go away, but you wouldn't necessarily tie the whole building to grandfather clause issues.
So that's what, like, there's gotta be a way around the band issue, right? Like, I'm not super familiar with the high school. All I know is I've been in the band room and it's small, but there's gotta be a way that, like, we can move something and knock out a wall or something to give more room to the band.
We currently do not have any of them.
But we could
Depends,
move
say,
things
no, if you build-
around.
If you built maybe
If you
the,
build.
yeah,
It's like when you have too many kids and not enough rooms and you have to like move things around to make it work. Mm-hmm, exactly.
Bunk beds.
So how do we get bunk beds in the band room? We'll just put a second layer and then they can stand on top. Until your kid jumps off and breaks their
it's just all
arm,
sure people.
not out of experience at all.
How tall is it?
Well, I mean, the greenhouse, obviously, there's always been talk about moving that anyway, so that's why I brought it up, and the fact that, you know, there may be some land that we could,
Well, the greenhouse was actually on the CTE evaluation.
We had a CTE evaluation of our high school campus from DPI, and so accessibility issues, ADA, greenhouse is not accessible, so that is a primary piece. It's not saying, hey, Tomah, you have to fix this today, plan for it. And
That's also building.
we're discussing
Building,
plans, so
that's-
I'm bringing that up, so there's
I have
other
no idea.
items.
I need to go.
baseball.
Good for night?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Oh, look at
I'll
her.
second that.
She's stepping out.
Got a motion by Heidi to adjourn, a second by Teresa, all those in
I was
favor?
thinking.
Aye.
Oh, you were slow.
Any opposed? Alright. Thank you, everybody.
Good meeting.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.